increase their firepower quite a lot. So far not a lot of infantry, most of it having been killed in those tragic strafing run accidents. Now MG42 rather heavily damaged, but managed to drive off a rifleman team, so not all bad. And we see these heavily wounded Volksgrenadiers getting out of there very quickly, while Grenadiers are moving towards the south as well. We see an attempt by riflemen moving up through the southern area. Tank traps as well, really intent on blocking off this point, but not quite succeeding. In fact, riflemen catching the MG42 off guard. The MG42 might in fact find itself completely wiped out. Grenadiers out in the open, dropping a grenade, not really succeeding anything. And we see the riflemen in a full retreat. LMG-42 being equipped for the Grenadiers, might say that's a waste of munitions. Honestly, the LMG continuing firing, but never really hitting anything or killing anything for that matter. You're more likely for the actual riflemen in the team to actually kill anything than the MG-42 gunner. And we have another Greyhound hitting the field. That's certainly a lot of Greyhounds, but no armored skirts. And will he get something for this? Or will it just be thrown into the crucible of war without any defensive preparations? Volksgren is moving forwards with MP40s in hand. Will certainly find themselves under fire from this Greyhound, and the riflemen on this, of course. This pack knocks out another M8, and looks like it. And another M8. That's 3 M8s completely wrecked by that single pack. That's quite extraordinary. Not a single of one of those M8s actually had any armored skirts. Certainly not a strong usage of it.
Krauts are grabbing our territory.
Now the Wehrmacht does seem to be going for most of the victory points, as the riflemen are desperate trying to hold the central victory point, but coming under heavy fire from submachine guns. Although the submachine gunners are certainly not in a good situation, and we see an MG42 moving in, blasting away, catching these riflemen in a nasty situation. Almost down to half force, and now being suppressed right out in the middle of the bridge and forced into a full rout. But fresh riflemen are moving in from the south, moving past this rather ineffectual barricade, and it looks like these Grenadiers with the MG42 might be in a nasty situation, running straight into the riflemen with BARs. A lot of firepower being concentrated on them, and these Grenadiers really need to get out of there. The LMG-42 gunner being the last survivor, and looks like he might just make it away by the skin of his teeth. There we go, extremely fortunate Grenadier with barely a sliver of health left. We'll be seeing more armored cars, apparently not. Mr. Mayo might have learned his lesson in the face of this. And Mr. TrollJ3gus being aware that a flanking attempt was going in from north, but the MG42 was placed right out in the middle of the thing, not using this jeep for cover. And now the MG42 has fallen into the hands of the Americans, who will of course be quite eager to use it against their former Wehrmacht owners, setting up perhaps behind this small sandbag redoubt, or taking up position in this house. We'll have to see. Large force of Grenadier and Volksgrenadiers supported by some pioneers moving out, and we see a Volksgrenadier team operating behind enemy lines, albeit not entirely sure what their intentions are, and they certainly might be caught out in the open by these riflemen. There we go, going for this strategic point, and Grenadiers and Volksgrenadier coming under heavy fire from the MG42 inside this building. One Grenadier already down, and we see a strafing run cutting down a lot of troops. Heavy losses and a lot of wounded, even more dead. I'd certainly say at least 10 men down and a pioneer team wiped out. Looks like the MG42 was in fact cleared out by a single Wehrmacht steel grenade. Certainly a lucky throw, but not him that got out of this engagement very well. And the 82nd Airborne has hit the field ready to support the airlanding troops, and now moving towards the northern victory point. The Airborne are dashing away, and we see this anti-tank gun setting up in a slightly frontal position. And in fact, let's go have a look at Mr. TrollJ3gus, who has gone for Blitzkrieg And he has stormtroopers, so why he went for grenadiers and gave them the LMG-42 when stormtroopers with the MP-44 would certainly have been a lot more effective. But I'm wager that's not a question I'll get an answer for. Large force grenadier and grenadier force moving out. And we see veterans who one has been given for the German infantry, and looks like these riflemen might be caught out in the open, albeit I wager this MG42 won't actually be doing much. And we see a lot of fire going off, and a strafing run moving in once more, killing a lot of German troops. And we do hear a bit of complaining about that. And Mr. Mayo pointing that he shouldn't be blobbing. Thing is, though, that actually blobbing is much more effective in actually protecting you against it, which is sort of what Relic has rectified with the next patch, which will be out tomorrow, so certainly something to look forward to there. Albeit the LMG-42 won't actually get much better, I'm afraid. And we see a bunker being set up in a rather exposed position as riflemen are moving in with the BARs. We see airborne seizing territory right outside the base alongside some riflemen. Rather heavy.
Base is under enemy fire. We're losing a sector.
American concentration, and this pack has been left behind enemy lines, and certainly one errant shot and it's going to be wiped out. And now we see a full charge by the Wehrmacht forces, MP40s, LMG-42s. A lot of Americans being cut down, forcing the rest into a full retreat. And these are being now dealt with swiftly, having apparently not aided their brethren, which shouldn't have been advantageous. Now having to deal with all of these German troops on their own. LMG-42 gunner gets out of there again, just barely. And MP40, and we see another LMG-42 being equipped. This is, goodness gracious, certainly a waste of munitions. And again, I'd rather suggest him then getting an infantry assault team and then equipping those chaps with assault rifles rather than going for those LMG-42s for the grenadiers. Currently, it's just not worth it.
We have 300 points left.
We'll have to see. A lot of fuel being floated. And also some manpower, not entirely sure what will be done with. And we see these airborne coming under fire and getting out of there. A lot of infantry being assembled in the American base, and we see some engineers and airborne sneaking about on the field, apparently occupying the entire Wehrmacht at the moment. We see the MG-42 team moving to the south. The LMG not really going to do much, but then again I think I'll just stop saying that. Engineers though might be in a bit of trouble there, actually getting suppressed by the LMG-42, but only briefly. Now the engineers are getting out of there. And now the bunker does manage to go up. We'll probably be seeing a medical bunker. Airborne moving across the crossing, coming under heavy fire MP-42 rifles and the LMG-42. One airborne down already. And further airborne dropping and getting out of there before all is lost. While riflemen are using the bridge to get over, but apparently stopping, taking cover behind the wrecks of the armored cars and opening fire on these German troops who are certainly in a more exposed position, but not succeeding in killing anyone, most tragically. And we do see a half-flag for the Americans, certainly a bit rare, and going to use that to make an assault. Only a grenadier team with an LMG-42 holding the line, managing to cut down a few wounded riflemen and one grenadier going down, but they'll probably quickly be reinforced due to the half-track's presence. And what is this? We see the Stu-42 hitting the field, and this is a rather dense cluster of Americans. Stu-42 shell hitting, killing 3 riflemen, possibly one of the gunners on the pack, and looks like this pack really needs to get out of there. And this shell knocks out further of the crew, rendering it once more on crew, and continuing to try and fire after these retreating riflemen, but no luck, and continuing straight forward, crushing the wreck of the Jeep. Might crush the wreck of the M8. Anti-tank on firing, not hitting anything, and missing by a long shot. The Stu is not really going to win this duel unless it somehow manages to catch the anti-tank gun off guard. apparently trying to drive around the anti-tank gun before the anti-tank gun can set up. But of course, it still needs time to set up in a proper position. And now we have a duel. Who will win? The Stu 42 is really down in health, and only 2 men left to man the anti-tank gun. Who will win? And there we go. Anti-tank gun cleared out. Stu 42 is the winner of this match. 8 killed so far. Heavy American presence in the south, and a grenadier team has been reformed from the bunker, certainly aiding the 85th Infantry Division and Hauptmann-Jägers. By this Stu 42 is really damaged and needs some emergency repairs, or else all will be lost. Grenadiers moving into the north, and now Grenadiers being caught in a tide of American riflemen with BARs, forced to pull back a bit. Another Grenadier moving in, and Stu 42 blasting away but hitting the ground, not really doing anything. And a lot of riflemen caught out in the open, not really using cover, which is certainly not good at all against these Grenadiers, who will certainly be cutting them down in great numbers. Further riflemen being slain. Accurate rifle fire, and of course Stu 42 fire, and an LMG 42 being captured by these riflemen. Well, no, and it is lost, and in exchange we see a BAR being dropped. This could certainly easily have gone badly for the Wehrmacht if that LMG 42 had been remaining in the hands of a Veterancy 2 rifleman squad, because then it can actually hit something, and by Veterancy 3 it actually also does a rather nasty amount of damage. And the anti-tank gun, having moved too far ahead, got cleared out by the Grenadiers. Quite horrific, and now we see a half-track sticking around. 50 caliber gun firing away, and a strafing round killing a lot of Grenadiers, prompting a retreat. And we see the airborne joining in as well. A lot of manpower, and could certainly be used for veterancy for the infantry, possibly some stormtroopers. Another Stu, and what do we see? Reinforcements apparently, and a stormtrooper squad being called in. 9th SS Panzer Grenadiers on the field. Stu 42 blasting away, doing a bit of damage to the half-track, killing the gunner. And we see these airborne in a slightly unfortunate situation. But what is this? Green smoke. We see another airborne team joining in the fight. Not entirely sure that's a good idea, considering there's a Stu 42 firing away heavy howitzer shells. And we see a bundle grenade going off, killing a single airborne, but no anti-tank assets to actually deal with this Stu 42. Another airborne is killed, and looks like this half-track is getting out of there. And we see a satchel charge going off on the bunker. Quite clear intent on knocking it out, and a lot of damage, possibly a bit of the cars being wrecked. But the bunker still stands. The Stu 42 kills another airborne, but further are being dropped in constantly, and looks like they're trying to seize this gun. Only one left. He will really need to get out of there. And we see the pack in the hands of the Americans. Will they be able to clear out this Stu 42? One gunner already down. Not a single shot fired, apparently not having time. And there we go. Pack blown out. Airborne hanging around. Might be trying to drop another satchel charge and clear out this bunker. And we see Grenadiers moving in with a BAR. There we go. Grenade going off